Joe Biden gave a press conference, and I just have a few interesting moments from it that I want to take a look at with you. The first is he calls out Maga, trickle down. And what he's kind of highlighting there is while we've seen this new movement within the Republican Party that is characteristically very different than the old Republican Party, you might want to say, or the more traditional Republican Party, it still is not offering up any more intelligent or fresh solutions to the economic, political issues of the day, right? As I've said many times, they're very, very good at identifying problems without suggesting any solutions. Oh, inflation. Oh, gas prices. Oh, the border. But not saying exactly which policy they would want to enact that would solve any of those problems. And so the Maga trickle down is kind of leaning into that. It's this new radical brand, but when it comes down to it, they're going to do all of the dangerous rhetoric and all the dangerous far-right actions that are even more extreme than past Republican Party, but still not make an effort to solve the problems in a significant manner. Take a look.
I have to admit, every once in a while they surprise me. They have three, not one, not two, three plans to cut Social Security benefits. Three plans. And they're not going to stop there. They're going to do big pharma's bidding to repeal my plan to allow Medicare to negotiate prescription drugs prices. We pay the highest in the world. And in doing so, it's going to raise drug prices. And they're going to raise big pharma's profits. They're doing fine, big pharma. They're not hurting at all. And they're going to raise your health insurance premiums. It's Maga trickle down. Maga trickle down. The kind of policies that have failed the country before and will fail it again. And it'll mean more wealth to the very wealthy, higher inflation for the middle class. That's the choice we're facing. That's why I think that we're going to do just fine.
Yes. So it is wild because you hear so often from right-wing figures who are a part of this, they call it populist right-wing movement, rhetoric that would suggest they want to actually hold accountable the wealthiest among us and actually fight for the average American citizen. And this reminds me of a segment I did yesterday on yesterday's show about Tucker Carlson saying that Elon Musk buying Twitter is an example of the ruling class losing control. So Elon Musk getting more control is the ruling class losing control? Who's a part of the ruling class if not the richest man or one of the richest men in the country and the world? Makes no sense. Their perception of the ruling class is like loud people on Twitter are the ruling class. And so it's a similar thing here where he's pointing out, not in the terms that I am, but these far-right individuals are pretending to be something new in the policies that they're putting forward. And while they do propose new, dangerous ideas, whenever they talk about helping you on an economic level, kind of what people say that, I've kind of gotten tired of this phrase, but the kitchen table issues, I guess you know what I'm talking about when I refer to that, they actually aren't doing anything more than the past Republican Party did. And they're just saying, let's give more power to those at the top. Let's let corporations continue to price gouge us. Let's let the pharmaceutical industry rip us off for money. Let's let all of these things not get solved, but then we're fighting the ruling class by, screaming about trans people or something like that. It's bizarre. And so I love how he calls that out because, yes, this trickle-down economics in the tax world framework has been proven, as we just saw a similar thing happen in the UK with Liz Truss, does not work. Not that she was able to enact it, but even just the suggestion of that plan had the markets react poorly. But then in the United States as well, on top of that, the actions they want to take if they get into the majority is walking back some of the best things the Biden administration and the Democrats did over the last 2 years. Capping the cost of insulin for Medicare recipients, lowering prescription drug costs, and a number of incredible actions that the Republican Party is very much against. And so I just wish people who think there's something new about what's being proposed economically from this new brand of republicanism that not only is more dangerous and more vile in the rhetoric they use, but just as void of good policy suggestions, if not worse, That's super important that people are aware of that. Another moment from the press conference, he gets asked if the debt ceiling having to be raised every so often, should we just get rid of that process and let it not have to get voted on to get raised? And he answers no. But the reason why this is in the public conversation is there's a little bit of a conversation about if the Republicans get in the House majority, okay, if they win back the House, they're going to use the fact that debt ceiling negotiations are ones in which you have a lot of leverage to try to cut possibly Medicare and Social Security. And that's where this is kind of coming from.
On the debt ceiling, do you support the permanent repeal of the debt ceiling, sir?
The permanent repeal of the debt ceiling? What do you mean?
Limit? Yes.
You mean just say we don't have a debt limit?
No debt limit.
No. That'd be irresponsible.
Interesting. That is fascinating because the person he appointed as Treasury Secretary or the head of the Fed, one of the two, has come out in support of getting rid of that debt ceiling, because it's a little bit of a weird thing, like, and I'm not necessarily giving my stance on this, I would have to do much more of my own thinking on it to give a hard stance, but the advocacy for getting rid of it comes from a place of, listen, we know we're going to tank the world economy if we don't raise the debt ceiling every time that we have to. So why do we even have that there? We might as well just get rid of it. But then there's a little bit of like okay, we know we're going to raise it, but it's good to have to check in every so often with the responsibility of our spending or whatever. So at least Biden still stands with the latter explanation. And then a little bit about Ukraine.
You heard the Republicans. You have the means and the will to continue supporting Ukraine?
Yes, because if we support Ukraine, we're supporting all of Europe. We're supporting NATO. Do you think that Mr. Putin decides he's just going to deal with Ukraine and that's the end of it? No, I don't understand the threat that they're saying they may have to stop funding the Ukrainians in their war against this brutal dictator.
Yeah, and that is another promise that I wish more people were aware of. I don't know broadly where the American people stand at this point in time about how much we're giving to Ukraine, but the Republican Party has also said, listen, if we get in power in the House, we're going to likely bring a halt to all of this Ukraine support, Ukraine aid. And I don't support that. I've talked about this before. I think the amount of funding we've given is awesome. I think we should continue to give what is needed. This is going to have huge, very long-lasting ramifications. And the best thing for the world is that Ukraine is able to completely fend off Russia in this situation. So yes, I know it's been a lot of money, a lot of support, a lot of aid, but I still feel, and likely will continue to feel, that it's been justified. Final question here to take a look at.
On the midterm, sir, last night you said you need 53, not 51 votes to pass your agenda.
I'm just getting greedy.
What did you mean by that? Were you referring to Manchin and Sinema?
No, I just think the more we have, the more certain. 51 just gives me one more. I'd like to have 3 more.
So he gets asked, at times you'll say we need to 51, get a majority in the Senate in the midterms, and times 53. Why 53? Is that because you're saying that Manchin and Sinema aren't going to be on board with the agenda that you want to go ahead with in the following 2 years? And that is the case, of course. I don't know why he didn't admit it there. He said it before. I think he should absolutely lean into the fact that, yeah, Manchin and Sinema, while they'll go along with some things, and the Inflation Reduction Act, for example, they went along with, and that's good, they're not going to go along with all the things that the Democratic Party has promised and needs to do. So we do need to win at least 53 senators to really get done a lot of the things that Biden has, set out as goals of his. And it definitely would be incredible if we were to see 53 senators end up getting in there and Biden be able to take a shot at some of those things he wasn't able to get over the last 2 years.